Boa noite, pessoal. Sou o Wilker Augusto, esse é mais um MXP Live. Sejam todos bem-vindos. Good evening, everyone. I am Wilker Augusto. This is one more MXP Live. Welcome. Essa live está sendo transmitida pelos nossos canais no YouTube e Facebook. Curtam, compartilhem e se inscrevam no nosso canal. This live is being transmitted by our channels on YouTube and Facebook. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe in our channel. Então, hoje a gente vai estar falando sobre a questão da criação de mídia para drum corps e bandas escolares. Today we will talk about creation of media concepts for drum corps and marching bands. Então, para falar desse tema, eu queria convidar o meu colega, que trabalhou comigo lá em 2019, ano passado, com o Cadets, o Jake. Welcome, Jake.
Hi, how's it going?
Great, good to see you, man.
It's very good to see you.
Yeah. So, right. Thank you. First of all, I would like to say thank you to be here with us and share information about your connection with marching band and drum corps.
Right.
And how we work with media and all the media.
Mhm.
And it's going to be great information. All right. Então, a gente vai começar falando sobre... Ele vai falar um pouco sobre a história dele com as bandas escolares e com a drum corps, como foi que isso aconteceu e qual foi como ele fez essa transição de começar a trabalhar na parte de mídia. So to start, I would like to let you talk about yourself and
Right.
your experience about in marching band, high school marching band, and then drum corps. And then after you age out, how was the transition
Right.
as a member to work with the media team?
Right. So I'll start off. I was in high school. I was always interested in music. So my whole life, I started playing piano for, now it's like 18 years of piano. So that was my experience in music. So when I came into high school, I already knew how to play piano. I've already played trumpet in middle school for about 2 years. And so from there in high school, that's my first taste into anything marching band. We had a very small high school band. So I think we had a total of 50 people. And we had some success in high school. And me and my classmate, JP Castro, who's been on here already, we decided we wanted to try DCI out at the age of 16. So we both went to Teal Sound out in Jacksonville, Florida. They no longer exist, but they were a world-class drum corps in Jacksonville, Florida. There I played trumpet, and I was there in 2012. I had a good experience. I learned a lot, but unfortunately they folded in the middle of the season. So from there, I marched the Colts in 2012, finished my season for the Boundary Show. After that year, honestly, drum corps was something like I thought it was just too hard and it was just too unstable because I just came from a corps that folded. But later that next year, I stuck with the Colts for 2013. Our show was Field of Dreams. There, I still played trumpet, but also that's the first time I played mellophone as well. And that's where I picked up playing mellophone. So I went from a trumpet player to a mellophone player in 2013, and that's where I really fell in love with the mellophone books. I enjoyed playing mellophone and all the runs that come with it. The next year, I wanted to march a corps that would make finals. So I marched Blue Knights in 2014, which was that 1 second. That was my first taste of like really hard drill, really hard book. That year we placed 8th in DCI finals for Blue Knights. I was a lead mellophone at Blue Knights, so we had a lot of licks from our book was from Jay Bocook, so we had a very good mellow book. And then the next year in 2015, which was my last year of DCI, my last year of DCI was in 2015. So from there, I also played mellow, and that's it. That's my DCI experience.
All right, let me try to maybe I ask you again because it was like
Sorry. I didn't know when you wanted me to stop.
Okay. Alright, então vou falar um pouco. Ele falou um bocado aí, eu acho que eu não vou conseguir colocar tudo, mas eu vou colocar a parte do início. Ele começou a experiência musical dele, ele tocava piano, começou a tocar piano desde cedo, né? E quando ele estava na middle school, que é como se fosse a escola de ensino fundamental, ele começou a tocar trompete. E quando ele começou na high school, ele tinha a banda dele da high school, era uma banda muito pequena, que era 50 no total. Mas eles fizeram um trabalho muito bom. E quando ele tinha 16 anos, ele conheceu o JP Caixa, que a gente já teve live com ele. Foi quando eles começaram a fazer audição para drum corps. Eles aplicaram para Teal Sound, lá na Florida. Teal Sound from Florida, right?
Yeah, Jacksonville.
Okay. Uh, então, after Teal Sound, so I need you to
Explain the part.
yeah, yeah, just like
So,
put a little space so I can like.
right.
All right, thank you.
I get it now. So in 2012, Teal Sound folded because they ran out of money in the middle of the season. So when that happened, I had nowhere to march anymore because we were stranded in Ohio. So I decided to call up the Colts Drum and Bugle Corps in 2012, and they took me on for the last half of the season. So I learned 2 shows in one season, but I finished with Colts in 2012.
Então, 2012 e foi quando a Teal Sound ela parou no meio da temporada e ele conseguiu, ele e outros membros, eles conseguiram ir para Colts e na Colts eles conseguiram terminar a temporada com a Colts. Então ele basicamente ele falou que ele teve que aprender 2 shows na mesma temporada.
And that's the year. Well, then I marched again Colts in 2013 because they took me on in 2012. The 2013 year was interesting for me because that was the first time I went from trumpet to mellophone. So that was more of a personal choice. I just wanted to see how mellophone was, and that's where 2013 is where I enjoyed playing the mellophone for in a drum corps setting. So yeah, 2013 Colts is when I started playing the mellophone.
Então, quando foi em 2013, ele continuou na Colts, mas aí ele decidiu mudar de trompete para melofone, né? Porque o melofone, o bocal do melofone é muito parecido com o bocal do trompete. It's like the mellophone mouthpiece is almost closer to the trumpet mouthpiece, so you don't need to play with a French horn mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it actually worked out for me in terms of learning it very quickly.
I think it's kind of really common in drum corps. People who play trumpet, they can try mellophone, right?
Yeah.
Então,
you can't make the mellophone sound like a trumpet, but you can definitely transition's definitely easier than concert band, for sure.
Então, o que acontece é que o bocal do melofone é bem parecido com o bocal do trompete e isso faz a transição ser mais fácil, né? E aqui é bem comum do pessoal que toca trompete, eles tentam vaga na linha de melofone também, né? Então, a melofone é como se fosse um tipo de trompa de marcha, só que eles não usam o bocal de trompa, né? Algumas pessoas usam um adaptador mas em drum corps eles não usam, eles preferem usar esse bocal como se fosse trompete, que dá uma sonoridade maior. I was just explaining about people that don't like to play like with a French horn mouthpiece. They prefer a mellophone mouthpiece because it can make the sound bigger.
Right.
Great. So after Colts,
after Colts, I marched. That's when I decided. From there, I really wanted to march a corps that made finals. That was like the one thing I haven't done yet. So at this point, I still haven't done anything in video. Like, if you were to ask me to make a video, I would not know what I was doing. So I was still very much into music. My college plan at this point in 2014, I was still very much trying to be music education major. That obviously didn't happen, but at that point I was. So in 2014, I went to Denver, Colorado to march with the Blue Knights Drum and Bugle Corps. There I learned from Bo Sodders and Brad Toth. Bo's a big Georgia band guy, and Brad is a big Texas band guy. And when I auditioned, I made the line in 2014. So in 2014, I was that 1 second. That year we placed 8th, and I also played lead mellow that year.
Então, em 2014 ele foi para Blue Knights, que é do Colorado. Então ele saiu da Flórida e foi lá para o Colorado. Então foi uma distância bem grande mas aí porque ele tinha essa vontade de fazer participar das finais em Indianápolis, né? Porque a Colts, ela, embora ela seja faça parte da World Class, mas ela não fazia parte do grupo que ia para as finais. Então ele tinha essa vontade, então ele por isso que ele mudou de drum corps e ele teve aula com dois grandes professores do Texas e da Geórgia e isso foi um ano muito bom para ele.
And then from 2014, that was a good year. I had a good experience. And then 2015, that year I was already in my mind. I thought I was done with drum corps, and I was still very young. Like my age out was actually, I think, 2019 was my age out, or 2020. Like, yeah, last year was my age out. No, 2018 was my age out. But in 2014, I was like considering just being done with drum corps because I got everything I wanted out of it. And I was about to go to college. But at that point, Brad called me, and they had a spot open at Blue Knights in 2015, which was the Because show. And so in 2015, I was lead mellow again for the 2015 season. That season was a very successful season. I enjoyed that season probably the most out of all our seasons because it was very. That was the first time drum corps really like started using soundscapes in their production, like electronics, and how to use electronics to your advantage. So that was a very interesting show, and that was like right before the era when like all the drum corps started changing from like classic uniforms to the unitards that they wear now, like more WGI based. So I left DCI right when that transition happened. And in 2015, I really enjoyed that year. I know we did well. I think we got sixth place that year, and I think it was the highest score Blue Knights ever scored. So after that year, that's when I ended drum corps.
Então ele falou que em 2015 ele já tinha basicamente para ele já tinha percebido que ele já estava assim o que ele queria de aprender com o drum corps já tinha aprendido mas aí foi quando Blue Knights
Blue Knights.
e então quando a Blue Knights chamou ele e ofereceu a vaga de líder da linha de melofones, que é como se fosse o chefe de naipe e ele foi para ele assim foi uma das melhores fases para ele como drum corps nesse ano o grupo ficou em sexto lugar e foi no ano que quando 2015 foi quando já estava tendo a mudança deixando de usar os uniformes com padrão militar e usar os uniformes customizados como se usa mais no WGI mas para ele foi uma experiência muito boa e ele foi a nota a nota mais alta que a Blue Knights teve até agora foi em 2015. Então, depois disso, ele resolveu parar. Mesmo ele tendo idade para continuar, mas ele resolveu parar com o drum corps porque ele já estava começando a se preocupar com a questão da faculdade.
And so after 2015, I still had 4 or 5 years left to march. I forgot because I had the bonus year. But at that point, I was heading into college. I've already marched for 4 years. So at this point, I took 2016 off. I never said I wasn't going to do drum corps again, but at that point, I was pretty happy with how drum corps went. And so I didn't see the need to do it again. It's also a very expensive activity. And from there, I went to Florida International University coming out of 2015. So from there, I went to college at Florida International for a year. And then I transferred to the University of Oregon. And this is the transition when I wanted to learn video. So this was the first time I ever started video. Some point in that year, I bought my first real camera. And that's when I really just took anytime I went to practice or anyone's band practice, I would take my camera out, just trying to make something out of nothing, really. That was I was a beginner in camera, so I really didn't know anything.
So was your first major music?
My first major at FIU at the time was actually it went from music, but I didn't get into music school, so I was marine biology actually.
In Florida.
Yeah, in Florida International, which is right next to University of Miami. And then from there, some point in there, I got my first camera because I was interested. And then when I first got my real camera, that's when I started really learning it. And I told myself, you know, I really wanted to do the film and video because I was so heavily doing like biology and sciences, so a lot of like math and you know that stuff interests me. But at the end of the day, like it's not my creative. I'm more of a creative person when it comes to that. So my major was just not happening. So that's when I switched to marine. Yeah, at that point I was marine bio, and then I transferred from Florida International to University of Oregon. And at University of Oregon, I pursued multimedia, and I'll continue from there.
Então ele falou quando ele em 2015, quando ele parou de marchar no drum corps, foi quando ele começou a vida universitária dele, né? Então foi para a Universidade da Flórida.
Yeah, Florida International.
Florida International University. Ele começou a fazer música, mas depois ele mudou para biologia. Mas aí depois ele um ano depois foi quando ele ganhou a primeira câmera dele, onde ele começou o interesse por essa parte de filmar, essa parte artística. Foi quando ele mudou para a Universidade do Oregon para começar assim, ele mudou o curso dele para a parte de mídia e marketing. So you graduated last year, right?
Huh?
Did you graduate last year, 19?
I graduated, June of 2019. So when I came into University of Oregon, that's when the whole video thing like blew up for me. So when I first went to University of Oregon, I knew I was a multimedia major, and when I was going through college, I really needed a first job in the field. So University of Oregon is a very big like sports school in the U.S. So we're always on TV, like ESPN, always on there. And they have a basketball arena there called Matthew Knight Arena. And one day I just walked in and I asked the camera guy that was shooting the game, like, hey, how do you get into this? And he introduced me to the director, Scott Labounty at University of Oregon. And from there, he gave me the opportunity to shoot handheld, which is a camera that's like up here for TV. And I started off as a production assistant. So that meant like coiling the cables for TV and just being behind a camera guy, being an assistant. I probably did that for like my whole first semester, probably 2 semesters. They call it shadowing someone. So it's basically doing the job, but you're not getting paid. It's basically being the intern. So I was the intern being a camera guy for a basketball arena for University of Oregon. And that was like my first real broadcast experience. So when I first started video, I actually started in broadcast.
Então ele falou que quando ele começou na universidade, estava na Universidade de Oregon, e foi quando ele começou a ter as experiências dele de ver as pessoas trabalhando com essa parte de mídia. E a Universidade de Oregon é uma universidade muito forte aqui nos Estados Unidos na área de esportes. Então, eles sempre estão na NBC, na CNN, as siglas dos grupos de esporte. E aí ele perguntou para uma das pessoas que trabalhava como era que fazia para ele começar a ter, assim, criar uma conexão com isso, né? Então foi quando a pessoa que ele falou levou ele para o diretor e ele arrumou uma posição como intern, é como se fosse um estagiário. Ele não é remunerado por isso. E ele trabalhava tinha o câmera e ele ficava por trás do câmera sempre segurando a questão dos cabos, né? E então basicamente a primeira experiência dele foi como uma espécie de assistente. It was like almost an assistant, camera assistant, right?
Yeah.
If you can
camera assistant, so the guy who's behind the camera guy with the cable, making sure he doesn't trip or anything. Like
yeah.
My first job.
I think it was a good experience, so you can see all the angles, all the
So basically, I was shadowing him. So while I was doing the job, I was like looking at what he was doing, and he was a really nice guy. He taught me everything in broadcast.
So he really helped you.
Yeah. But that's the difference, though. This was broadcast, so what I did at Cadets is not the same. Like broadcast is very straightforward. Like you just shoot, you put people in the frame of the camera, and very basic. So what I did at Cadets and what I did first when I first started video, two different worlds, you know,
Uhum.
because one's for TV, one's for social. Yeah, you can say that.
Então, quando ele trabalhava quando ele estava durante a faculdade dele em Oregon, o que ele fazia era um trabalho como eu falei, de assistente, ele segurava todos, assim, os cabos, acompanhava o câmera, mas era um trabalho mais de podcast, era coisa mais parada. E com drum corps já foi uma outra realidade. Alright, so before we start talk about drum corps, let's see if we have any questions already to you.
Okay.
All right, so let's keep going. So the Cadets was your first drum corps work, right?
First drum corps work, yes.
So how that connection happens?
So I was a senior at University of Oregon, and at this point, I worked my way up at Oregon. So at this point, I wasn't working broadcast anymore. I was working for specifically the football team at the time, and I was in me and a few other coworkers. We were in charge of their Twitter and the Facebook and Instagram. So that's my first experience. Was actually Oregon football, making content for a big organization. So there every day I would have to make 30 to 60-second video for Oregon football. And so that's my first true experience with creative content. That's what we call it in video.
Mm-hmm. And also put all this in a social media.
Yeah. So we call this creative content. This is very different than broadcast. So I was brought up in broadcast.
Creative content?
Yeah, creative content. So my job right now at Temple is creative video coordinator. So that's my job. So my job is basically making all the social media day in, day out, short videos. And so, yeah, how I got into Cadets, I just graduated from University of Oregon. I was, looking into jobs. I was actually looking at a lot of schools in Texas and Pennsylvania at the time. So I hit up JP Castro, who's been on here before. And he needed a videographer because he just got a job at the Cadets, and I was free for the summer. And it's already at this point, it's been 5 years since I've been to a drum corps show, because the last time I was in drum corps was 2015. So in my head, I was like, why not? Like, I haven't done drum corps in 5 years. I remember loving it so much. I want to take what I learned from sports and apply it to marching band, because marching band doesn't get the same attention as football does in the US. So at that point, I really want to take everything I learned from football, athletics, and transfer that to the marching band scene, because the marching band scene, like, really nothing was happening in terms of creative content. The only thing that we had in the marching band scene was broadcast content. So there's a big difference in that. And so I wanted to bring what I learned in football to marching band. That was my main goal in 2019.
Então, ele falou que no ano que ele estava se formando na Universidade de Oregon, foi quando ele já tinha uma função de fazer vídeos curtos do time de futebol e atualizar as páginas na mídia social, de YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Então, esse era um trabalho que ele tinha. Então, quando ele estava se formando, ele já estava procurando um trabalho para o verão, e ele estava procurando na área do Texas, mas aí foi quando ele, que no caso o JP Castro, que a gente entrevistou dias atrás, que foi colega dele de high school e da primeira drum corps, foi quando convidou ele para trabalhar com a parte de mídia da Cadets, que era algo assim diferente, mas para ele foi uma coisa boa, que ele ia botar toda todo o aprendizado que ele teve na parte de esporte e trazer tudo aquilo, aquela ideia para o meio de drum corps.
Yeah.
So,
And just continue from there.
yeah. So let's I don't know if you have any point, but let's keep going. So I was there when you arrived as cadets, like 19, during the whole process about make all the videos during rehearsals and
Right.
uniform. So the first uniform, when people like want to know what kind of the uniform the drum corps is going to use, and I saw
Right.
some things in the backstage. I was just like observing. And what's in your point, in your like, what's your opinion? Do you think that's your experience in a marching band in a drum corps help help you to have like a better look during rehearsals and performance, how to take better shots, and what do you think about that?
I think that's one of the main advantages of when I came in was the fact that I already marched drum corps, so I already knew um, not to break rank. I knew all like the rules of the kids, like don't break rank, don't like run into kids when they're marching. So it definitely helped for me. I know how forms work, so if I know if I'm shooting at a spot that I need to get out of soon because kids are marching through, I make sure I'm not in their way ever. And that really helped me when I was shooting, especially in places like, for example, like one thing I would do personally at practice, I would see their pathways and see when I could get the shot in practice so that when I'm in like Atlanta, Georgia Dome, or if I'm in Indianapolis, I know if I am in this spot or on this side of the field, I know I can get these shots. So by the time I was in finals last year, like I knew every spot that I wanted to be in before I was even out there. Because I knew the main moments of the show. So in my head, looking at Cadets 2019 show, I think there's like 5 or 6 big moments, and I think they're all kind of spread out. So in my head, I'm like, those are the 5, 6 moments I definitely need in this video, no matter what. So throughout the show, I make sure I hit those 5 or 6 spots on the field, side 1 or side 2, wherever the moment happens. I know I'm there. So that way I have those bases covered. Anything in between, that's just added B-roll. So B-roll in video is just like the extra footage that just fills in time, basically. It gives you setting. So that's kind of like my mentality when I'm on the field. I would look at, it doesn't matter, it doesn't even have to be cadets. I shot for Boston one show, and I would watch them a night before and be like, okay, what are the biggest moments in their show? I picked probably the top 5 moments. Where is that moment happening on the field? So I probably pull out my notes. Something happened like side 140, put in my notes. So I know at the beginning of their show, side 140, something's happening, and I need to be there. I can't be on side 2, 40-yard line, because then I'll miss a shot or the shot's not going to look good. So that's kind of how I think when I'm shooting drum corps shows.
Então, eu perguntei pro Jake se a experiência que ele teve em drum corps e ajudou ele a fazer o trabalho que ele fez ano passado no Cadets, até porque eu estava trabalhando junto com ele e o JP, e assim, eu observava a forma como ele trabalhava, porque ele estava o tempo todo nos ensaios, ele estava assistindo tudo, e qual era a principal ideia dele quando ele ia fazer esse trabalho. Então, ele falou que definitivamente conhecer a atividade ajuda, por exemplo, ele citou que no show do Cadets tinha 5 grandes momentos. Então ele sabia durante o show onde era que ele teria que estar posicionado para pegar aquele momento acontecendo. Então, se você pensa que ano passado a Cadets teve na média de 30 shows, então de cada show que ele foi fazendo, ele foi até chegar nas regionais e nas finais em Indianápolis, então ele já tinha uma ideia de onde é que ele ia se posicionar no campo. Então, ele disse que teve uma oportunidade que ele foi fazer cobertura para Boston. E aí ele assistiu o show uma vez, então ele já fez as anotações dele. Então eu preciso estar nessa jarda de 40, preciso estar nessa outra jarda, nesse outro momento. Então ele sabia quais eram os momentos que ele precisaria, quais eram os momentos e onde ele precisaria estar para conseguir uma boa produção. And after that, it's just like, I know you put like some music in the background.
Yeah, so this is very important topic actually. Now that I'm talking about it, if there's anyone that's interested in doing media,
Yeah. Before we go to that point, let's. I think we have some questions.
Okay.
All right. Let's check. Bruno Oliveira Mariano. Gostaria de saber quando ele está produzindo conteúdo para as drum corps, se existe algum tipo de orientação por parte das bandas que querem mostrar ou se o trabalho dele é concepção livre. He wants to know that doing your work with the drum corps, there isn't kind of orientation for the directors to tell you what they want you to do, but
Right.
have your own like free conception.
So my personal experience at the Cadets, everything was given to me as my artistic, how I feel it should look. So they gave me full ability to do what I wanted. That's partly because I've already worked in a bigger organization for Oregon, so I think they had a built trust already. So when I talked to Scott and Denise, they really just gave me full reins to do what I felt was necessary. So I was very lucky in that sense. But my experience in the work field that's not drum corps, so non-marching band gigs, definitely you would be in a meeting and you would sort out concepts and like how you want your image to be. That's very standard in the workplace. So my job now at Temple, like everything we do, we talk about. Like it's not just me; it's a team effort. But because at Cadets, it was just me and Josh, and I was the only video person. Mostly everything was based off my judgment, which I was very lucky. But that's not always the case. So it really depends on your situation. But if you're new, expect to work with a team and to everything artistic you go through with your team. You hear all ideas and you try to make middle ground. But in my situation, Cadets, basically every idea I had, I did because at the time I was the only videographer.
Então ele falou que falando dessa última experiência dele, que foi com a Cadets, ele teve uma liberdade por conta do diretor e da direção da corporação para que ele tivesse a própria concepção dele do que ele iria fazer, da forma que ele iria fazer. Mas ele sabe que isso aí não é padrão. Depende da organização, eles vão se reunir, eles vão dizer o que é que eles querem, da forma que eles querem. E ele acredita que o fato do pessoal do acreditado nele foi pelo fato de ele já ter trabalhado com uma grande organização antes. Então, pela questão da área de esportes na Universidade de Oregon. E isso ajudou bastante, né? Mas ele sabe que geralmente... E ele também era o único pessoa responsável por vídeo, porque ele era responsável por vídeo, e o Josh Clements, que era responsável pela parte de fotografia. Né? Então, mas ele tinha a liberdade de fazer os vídeos da forma que ele queria. Mas isso aí depende muito do grupo. Depende muito do grupo. Let's see if we have another question. Neto Vale, gostaria de saber quem são as referências que inspiraram ele e que formaram o estilo dele hoje. So he wants to know if you have any reference, like people that work for, let's say, for drum corps before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any kind of reference to kind of build you as a videographer today.
So is he asking what things can I do to get a job in drum corps? Is that what he's asking, Wilker?
No, your influence in other like videography works.
Like how I think of videos, or it's like concept video.
Like another videographer that says, okay, I want to influence, this guy is going to influence my work.
Oh, did I have? So that's a funny thing. So In drum corps, the social media world drum corps, there's really nothing going on. And I really meant that. So when I was drawing inspiration, hey, I want to do what this person's doing in my videos, it actually came a lot from my work outside of drum corps. So most of my inspiration came from actual football videos, basketball videos, stuff I've done in the past with my coworkers. That's where most of my inspiration came from. In terms of like the marching band scene, that's why I was so interested in doing drum corps, because no one's really done that yet. No one's done the whole social media thing. Like the most you would see in the drum corps media world would be like vlogs. Like that's the one thing we would see. There was no real creative content videos being made.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was looking for inspiration, I looked to the people I follow in the football world, in this basketball world, because people are already doing this in those activities. So I'd bring those effects into marching band where it's never been done before. So that was kind of like the creative challenge for me, and I really like doing it. So to answer this question, yeah, most of my inspiration came from sports, like athletics. Other videographers in the athletics world is where I drew my inspiration.
Então, a resposta dele foi que a inspiração maior dele veio não da atividade do drum corps. A inspiração maior dele veio da área de esportes. Então, que embora se ache que no movimento de drum corps existe um trabalho de mídia muito grande, mas na visão dele, o trabalho não tinha ele tem essa questão crítica que ele fala assim que o trabalho não tinha atingido ao patamar que a área de esportes já tem. Então, a grande inspiração dele foi trazer, assim, os vídeos que ele via, a produção que ele via, a produção que ele já tinha trabalhado na área de futebol, de basquete, ele trouxe essas concepções para a área de drum corps. Let's see if we have one more. All right. Bruno Oliveira Mariano. Ao observar o trabalho do Jake, percebemos um grande foco nas expressões dos músicos ou bailarinos. Gostaria de saber se ele sempre buscou esse tipo de imagem. So he make a comment that in your works, he can see you have a big focus in the musicians or the dancers like expression, like face expression. Um, uh, he would like to know if like you always looking for this kind of expression for your work.
Right. So for me at Cadets, I see these kids every day. So it's when I'm making these videos, I can already pick out points in the show where I know who's going to be the most emotive, like who's going to show expression at what point of the show. So especially in the Cadets show, Estancia, the second movement, that's where you get the most emotion out of the whole show. So a lot of the shots actually come from Estancia because I know they have a lot of facial moments that would look good in video and especially hype. So knowing one thing is knowing your show that you're shooting for, knowing what moments and who on the field is being most expressive, looking out every day in rehearsal. Every day I try to pick someone new. So like if I wasn't paying attention to someone the next day in rehearsal, I pay attention to that one person, see their one moment in the show where they're the most emotive, and I'll try to capture that.
Okay.
So yeah, every day I move to another member, see their best moment in their show, and try to capture that moment. And that's kind of how I think. But in general, the Cadets were really good with emoting that year. So it wasn't so much a challenge, but when I do shoot it, that's something I look for. Yes, is facial reaction, especially when it comes to like not even during the show, but on the road. Like the alumni night, that was a very emotional night for those members. So I definitely made sure to capture that, because if you didn't capture the members crying, then you didn't really capture what was happening. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I know if you're a beginner videographer, you're out there shooting, you're like, I don't want to shoot someone crying because it's awkward. Well, then you're not really doing your job as a videographer, because your job as a videographer is to show what happened. And if you don't show anyone crying when there's people crying, you're not doing your job. So that's the one thing I would say to anybody that wants to be in production or video. Never be afraid to be in the middle of things. Like, I cannot express this enough, because people get very afraid to be in the middle of a group. So after every show at Cadets, they all huddle in the group, and then we talk about like what went well, what was bad about the show, what was good about the show. And I always notice this, but new videographers will always stand on outside looking in, when in actuality you should be right next to the director. You should be right in the middle of everything, because at the end of the day, you're capturing this moment. So in football or basketball, I know it can be very intimidating to be in the middle of, their team, but if you don't do that, then they'll never accept you as one of their own. So at the football team, my first week there, I had to really like force myself into like the groups, so like they know like I'm here to like capture your moment. But without that trust, it's not going to be successful. So that's the one thing I would say to him is, if you're a beginner, do not be afraid to be in the middle of anything. The worst thing they can say is no. That's the worst thing they can say. And at the end, like, it's not going to hurt your feelings. Like, I promise. I've been told no so many times in the basketball court or football. And it's just like, at the end of the day, it's just communicating, but never be afraid. Never be on the outside looking in when you haven't tried. That's the one thing I'd say.
Então, ele respondendo a pergunta do Bruno, ele falou que a convivência dele no dia a dia dos ensaios fazia com que ele conhecesse os membros e ele soubesse qual era o momento, que no caso ele citou o show do Cadets, então tinha uma parte do show chamada Distância, então era um show que se tinha bastante movimento corporal, bastante expressão facial da parte dos membros, de uma forma geral, e ele, durante os ensaios, ele tentava focar em cada momento em um membro diferente. Então, com isso, ele saberia qual era a pessoa que, durante o show, ele deveria ter mais atenção. Né? Hoje em dia, o show de drum corps, de drum corps tem essa questão não é só o tocar, não é só o movimentar o drill, mas a questão de um todo, corpo, expressão facial, expressão corporal. Isso não só do corpo coreográfico, do corpo musical. E ele focava isso e era uma coisa assim que ele sabia porque ele acompanhava durante os ensaios. E o que ele falou depois foi, ele citou um exemplo que tem nos cadetes tem a noite dos aluminais, como são dos alunos, né, como os veteranos, e é um momento muito, muito emocional para toda drum corps. E ele estava lá e ele estava filmando as pessoas chorando, assim, e o que ele falou como dica, assim, pode parecer até estranho você filmar uma pessoa chorando, mas para a parte de mídia, isso aí, se você não filmar isso aí, você não está fazendo o seu trabalho. Se você tem um contexto emocional para falar, e se você não consegue captar os momentos emocionais das pessoas, você não está fazendo o seu trabalho como na parte de mídia, né? Então, o que ele falou, assim, mais uma vez do lado do Cadets, que quando terminava a apresentação, todos os grupos se reúnem em círculos e os caption heads, eles vão lá e eles comentam sobre o show, e ele via que em outros grupos as pessoas, a parte de mídia ficava sempre de fora do círculo. Né? Geralmente eles fazem um círculo onde eles conversam e o pessoal ficava de fora. E ele não, ele ia para dentro e ele filmava, captava todos os comentários. Se era o diretor que estava falando da drum corps antes da apresentação ou depois da performance, ele estava junto lá do diretor. Então, são essas coisas. Ele estava sempre tentando captar todos os momentos importantes. Então, você tem que conquistar o respeito. Não é que as pessoas vão te expulsar do momento. As pessoas têm que entender que você está fazendo o seu trabalho, mas aí essa questão de conquista do respeito é uma coisa que tem que ser gradativa. Né? I believe that to the people trust you as a videographer.
Right.
Don't feel like,
yeah.
So people don't feel like awkward to, like, for example, I'm talking with my section right now, and you step in front of me, during talk. I know that you as a musician know that you not step in front of
Mm-hmm.
the caption head or like the section
Yeah,
structure, but you are close. It's kind of you're not bothering him to do his job, but also you can kept all the good moments for the
right.
instructor and also for the members, right?
Kind of like the line you have to tread. Like as a videographer, it's supposed to be like you're never there. Like you should never. How did I learn this in school? It should be like you're not there ever. So you shouldn't. Your presence shouldn't ever be so much that all the attention goes to you. It should be more like, yes, I know that Jake's here and he's here to capture the moment, but all my attention's still on my caption head. All my attention's still on my instructor. Once you like, once you're at the point where you're a distraction, I head out. Like personally, like I think that's not productive.
It's
Um,
like that's why I call like be a good professional. You know what's the right moment and the right place to be.
yeah, exactly. So you have to know. Yeah, that's one big thing. Like if you can tell from the rehearsal that the caption head is really like not having a good day, really just wants to get a drill done, I I try not to bother them at all. Or before rehearsal, I ask, "Is it okay if I shoot video today? I'll be around." But if someone's like, "This has never happened to me," but I'm sure it happens to other people, like, "Hey, today, like, no video," that's something you respect. And how you can think of that, you can think of it two ways. Like, you can take it as like, "Oh, that sucks," or, "You know what? This is a new challenge now." So, for me, when that would happen, I would think like, okay, I can't shoot them super close, but what can I do on social media that would, you know, how can I take advantage of the situation? So in those circumstances, like I remember I would go to alumni or go to the food truck. I'll talk to those guys, maybe content around them. Like nothing, not everything's the members. So you can find other ways.
Mhm.
One thing I would do, we did a lot of sponsorship stuff for Yamaha and Reno, I think, Remo. So when those days happen, then you focus your attention on sponsors and stuff. There's always another thing. Usually, when I can't do video and be up close to people, that's when I would take advantage to learn my photography. So when I know I can't, um, literally be next to someone, I would take my telephoto lens, which is this big zoom lens, and I'll work on my photography.
Okay.
So just it's learning your situations. And drum corps, there's not enough media, so either way, you just figure it out in terms of photo or video.
Ok. Eu fiz um comentário com ele que é tipo assim, para trabalhar nessa parte de mídia, você precisa saber o momento certo e o local certo para estar. E que assim, os membros eles entendem que você está fazendo o seu trabalho como videógrafo,
Uh,
como parte de mídia, mas eles não se sentem assim perturbados pelo fato de você estar ali. Eles sabem que você está fazendo o seu trabalho. Mas ele falou que na questão dele, quando ele via que a atenção estava tirando a atenção dos membros de ouvirem o que o instrutor estava falando, ele se retirava. E, e que, assim, ele falou que não aconteceu, mas pode acontecer situações, e ele já viu acontecer com muitos, de tipo assim, o instrutor falar, então, não tem vídeo hoje, não vai ter vídeo hoje, e ele fala, bem, se eu não posso filmar os membros de perto, ele não quer que ninguém por perto do ensaio, porque ele quer total atenção dos membros na parte visual, então ele tentava tirar fotos de longe, com outra lente, usava um outro material, ou então ele focava em outras áreas, como na parte dos voluntários que trabalhavam no food truck, essas coisas. Então, existem várias áreas que você tem que focar. Você não pode focar só nisso. Você não pode focar no ensaio, você pode falar com sponsors, ou trabalhar na parte de mídia social, ou com voluntários, ou com outras partes do grupo. Então, não existe só um grupo. Né? So, now let's talk about how you choose your music to make a background for your videos, and how you put the music together with
right.
the videos that you have.
For me personally, so this is a big topic for anybody that wants to start in video. But for me personally, um, it's very important to use royalty-free music. One to protect yourself legally. I'm not sure how it is in Brazil or Colombia, but in the U.S. at least, always tend to use royalty free. So in the US, that would be like APM Music or Epidemic Sound. So they're subscriptions that you pay like $10 to $15 a month, and you can use your music library. So that's what I do, and all their music is actually really good music. And so that way, that protects myself and the organization from being, fined or, sued for using music. So that's a very important point I want to make. Is always use royalty-free music. The only time I wouldn't use royalty-free music and commercial music would be in situations where, like for football, like we have a big video board in the middle of the arena. If we're only playing it once and it's not going up on social, then I use commercial music. But if it's something that's going to stay on social media, then I always stick to royalty-free music. So that's a very big point I want to make, just to protect everyone in terms of money. It's that's a big deal.
Ele falou que na hora que ele, quando ele está escolhendo as músicas que ele vai usar nas produções dele, ele tenta saber quais são as músicas que ele pode usar. Porque ele falou assim que não sabe como é que funciona no Brasil, mas aqui nos Estados Unidos a questão dos direitos autorais sobre a música é algo bem importante. E se ele de repente usa uma música sem autorização para isso, então ele acaba prejudicando a imagem dele como profissional, como também a imagem da empresa pela qual ele está trabalhando. Então, às vezes você paga para usar por um mês ou 2 meses, então existem várias possibilidades de você ter essa autorização de utilizar a música, mas aí se você vai usar isso na parte de mídia social, que vai ficar durante muito tempo, então precisa ter cuidado com isso. Então, essa questão com cuidado com os direitos autorais é bastante importante.
And then just to continue with the question, just because that was the first part, but when it comes back to me personally picking music, I always look at the situation. So, for example, like a show day, I typically like picking cinematic music. So when I'm looking at royalty, I'll put on the tab or the filter to look up cinematic music, and then I'll like listen through. Always pick something that's under 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And then the biggest thing I want to say is when you're creating a soundscape for an edit, it doesn't have to be one song. Like you can pick multiple songs to fit what you want. So I know a lot of my edits, like it's just one song, but I'm starting to use it more often now. Don't be afraid to use like FX sounds. So like whoosh sounds, or I don't know if you know what I mean by this, but like FX sounds. Don't be afraid to use those. Those are on Epidemic as well. Don't be afraid to use, we call it nat sound, so natural sound. Sometimes you'll see videos where you don't hear anything, which is fine, but day to day you want to use like natural sound. So the two things: don't be afraid to use FX. Don't be afraid to use natural sound. When you pick a song, that doesn't have to be the only song you use the whole time. Like you can switch it up. So that's a big thing. Like a lot of people don't focus on audio, but audio can take you a long way. It would put your videos on the next level. And then in terms of music, again, what was I gonna say? In terms of cinematic music, that's for bands. Sometimes if it's like an off day, I'll pick something more like R&B or hip hop. It really depends on the situation. But when it was the big events, I always pick something cinematic. That was just how I felt like the cadet should have been portrayed. So it's really up to you creatively. But anything in terms of audio, three big things: FX, natural sound, and don't be afraid to use more than one song. Those are like the three big things I would say.
Então, ele falou que quando ele está organizando a parte do vídeo dele, ele só pediu para explicar antes que quando ele fala do royalty free music, é como é música de graça, música gratuita, né? Então, essa aí você tem que ter cuidado de saber se essa música é gratuita ou não. E o que ele falou que você não precisa ficar com medo de usar é tipo a música, sons de efeito, sons naturais nos seus vídeos, né? Então, e também não ficar preocupado de usar mais de uma música, né? Então, ele botou aqui, mesmo que seu vídeo seja menor, assim, mais curto do que 1 minuto, Então, não precisa ficar com medo de usar, não posso usar duas músicas diferentes. Ele fala assim, você pode usar, que isso é uma coisa que vai de acordo com a sua criatividade, é uma coisa que você vai criar o seu próprio estilo, então você vai ter que usar a sua criatividade para isso. Mas ele fala assim, não fique com medo de usar os efeitos, né? Então, os efeitos são... I think it's watching your videos, I start to look for your videos from the cadets, né?
Mhm.
And I saw you have not only like sound effect, but you have some like video effect as well.
Yeah. So in terms of video effect, I'll dive into a little bit for people that want to learn. I personally use Premiere Pro. I don't know what they use in South America as much, but I use Adobe because that way I can use Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and After Effects together. That's the one good thing about Adobe. It's pretty expensive though. um, but the other option is Final Cut. Final Cut's good, but in my experience, I feel like Premiere Pro gives you more access because if I did something on Photoshop, I can put it right into Premiere, or if I did something on After Effects, I can put it right into Premiere. And if anyone's asking, Premiere Pro is the video editing software, so it's kind of like a more advanced iMovie, if they know what that is. After Effects is more animation stuff, so it's more heavy effects. So that's After Effects. So you'll see After Effects being used a lot in like if you watch a Netflix show, like the intro of the Netflix show, like that's all After Effects work. And then Photoshop is Photoshop. Everyone knows Photoshop, so that's manipulating photos. So I don't know if you noticed, but in a lot of my videos, especially for cadets, I never shied away from using photos in my videos. Like use all the assets you have. So even though I'm a videographer, it doesn't mean I can't put photos in my edit. So don't be afraid to do that. And there's always creative ways to do photos in the edit.
Então, ele falou que tem uns programas, eu pedi para ele digitar aqui para mim todos os nomes dos programas, que a gente vai repassar para vocês, quais os programas que ele usa. Mas, assim, que ele falou que, basicamente, se você está fazendo a parte de vídeo, você não precisa ficar dizendo assim, vou fazer só vídeo. Você pode fazer foto e arrumar durante a sua produção, você tentar colocar junto as fotos com os vídeos que você fez. Então, ele está falando que tem o Premiere Pro, tem o Adobe, e aí tem o Adobe Creative Cloud, e para fotos, assim, que é o mais comum que se usa é o Photoshop, né? Mas aí você tenta usar todos esses programas claro que, assim, existe a questão de você comprar o programa e você vai ver quanto isso vai custar. Geralmente, esses programas, eles te dão uma autorização de uso para... Você pode comprar programas para usar por 1 ano ou por 6 meses. Então, existem várias possibilidades. Você não precisa comprar o programa de um todo, você pode... É como se fosse alugar o programa. I always tell people that there is the possibility that if you don't want to buy the program, you can like rent like for like
Yeah.
like for 6 months or like
Yeah, I think Adobe does, and especially if you're a student, it's not cheap, but it's like $20 a month. So if you really like have a job, then it'd be worth it. But if you sit on it and you don't do anything, then you're spending a lot of money that,
yeah.
it ends up being a lot if you're a student. So that's the like one warning I would give.
So you make investment to have your profit.
Yeah, that's the thing with Adobe products. So Premiere Pro, the stuff I use, the thing I don't like is everything to do is subscription, so you can't just buy it. So that's why a lot of people use Final Cut, the competitor of Premiere, because you can just buy Final Cut. I think it's like $300 instead of just paying every month. But I know Adobe a lot better, so.
Então, justamente o que eu falei para vocês antes, eu estava comentando com ele, que realmente existe a possibilidade aqui nos Estados Unidos de quando você não quer comprar aquele programa, você compra para usar por 1 mês ou por 6 meses ou anual. Existem vários pacotes, você pode... E cada um tem sua promoção. E aqui nos Estados Unidos, uma coisa boa que tem que quando você é estudante, você tem descontos quando você vai comprar esse material. Então, o que ele falou, se você está ganhando dinheiro com isso, se você está se tornando profissional, então você precisa fazer um investimento. Eu até comentei para ele, se você está Se você quer ter algum retorno, algum lucro com isso, você precisa fazer o investimento. Let's see if we have any questions before we go to the last topic.
Okay.
Bruno Oliveira Mariano. Como funciona a participação dos fotógrafos e câmeras no DCI? Eles todos têm acesso ao campo? Ou hoje só o time da Flu March usa o campo? So he asked about the DCI shows. If all the photographers and videographers they can have access to the field, or only the Flu Marching has this permission to shoot during the shows?
Okay. To answer that question, in 2019, we were given media passes, so we get, I think, one videographer per group. So that's two passes. Some shows are harder than the others to get in. Like the regionals, you're always allowed one photographer, videographer. But that's how I got access. Luckily for me, I worked for Flow as well during the season to make extra money. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I did. I don't really care. You can tell. That's how I made more money on the side. So I worked for Flow Marching as well while I was doing cadets, just to make some more money. And so like they knew me already. So for me, I could be on the field because all the Flow guys knew me. And I forgot the guy's name, but you always want to talk to the event coordinator because once they like know who you are, like they'll never ask for your credential, just because like they know you're with the group and they see you all year.
And also you have your badges. So
yeah, your badges. So if you were to lose it, that's when you probably it'd be a good idea to have met these people. So that's not a big issue.
You have your badge, but I know also you have your wrist things, wristbands, so that give you access to the field if you wanna go upstairs and you have a shot for the whole drum corps, so you have those wristbands.
Yeah.
Ele falou que todos que participam na drum corps, a gente tem um crachá. E aí depois eu posso até pegar os meus ali. Então eu tenho a coleção dos meus crachás que eu usei esses anos todos. E o que acontece? Isso é o que dá acesso a você, vem dizer seu nome e qual a sua função no grupo, né? Então, depende de show para show. Nos shows regulares não tem tanto problema, mas é que você vai para as regionais e as finais, aí o que acontece é que você recebe uma pulseira para cada dia, né? Então, se você vai para as regionais, como San Antônio e outras, então você recebe essa pulseira que te dá acesso a um videógrafo e um fotógrafo, né? E às vezes eles dão a gente também usa para o pessoal de áudio que controla o áudio da drum corps, eles têm acesso para ir na parte de cima do estádio para controlar essa questão do áudio. Mas aí isso depende de show. E ele falou que no caso dele que ele conseguia trabalhar para Full March e para Cadets no tempo que ele estava. Let's go for one more question. Bruno Oliveira Mariano. Gostaria de saber sobre os equipamentos dele, o que ele usa e o que ele recomenda para esse tipo de captação em estádio ou até mesmo, em nosso caso, no Brasil, nas ruas. So you want to know what kind of equipment do you use for stadiums? And in Brazil, the competitions in Brazil are more about street competitions. We don't have much like stadium competitions. Just like it's kind of almost like street band parade, but then we stop to play your music. There's not much about
like BGI wins a little bit.
Kind of. We have some like competition that are like inside of small stadium, just like a gym. It's kind of WGI size. So
okay.
What equipment you recommend?
Personally, I use the Sony A7 III, which is quite an expensive camera. It's around $2,000 US. So, if someone wants to like know what equipment on the budget, I could always they can always private message me, and I can always like lead them in the right direction. But I personally use a Sony A7 III. When it comes to equipment, the most important thing is getting lenses that support you. So marching band, obviously you can't be in the show and it's a football field. I know this is different in Brazil, but because in the U.S. everything's stadiums, you have to have a telephoto lens. So telephoto lens is a zoom lens, and it's really important because that way you can like not be in the middle of the action and still get everything like tight shots. The second thing would be a wide angle lens. Those are really good for grandiose shots. So say like I have a drum major coming out to the stands. That's a really good shot to get everybody. So like a wide angle lens would be a really good investment. The third thing I would get would be a portrait lens. So that's good for like uniform videos, detail shots, and those are like the three. You cover all three bases by doing that. By getting telephoto, wide, and a portrait lens, you pretty much have the three different shots you need. On top of there, things I would like to have would be a GoPro because that gives you a different perspective, or you could do something like a drone. If you had a bigger team and say you had 2 or 3 videographers, you can have someone do drone. So those are like how I would shoot. In terms of the street, all you really need would probably be a wide angle and a portrait lens. Those are the 2 things you probably need in terms of street. So yeah.
Então, ele falou que a câmera que ele recomenda é a Sony A7 III, que é uma câmera boa. E aí ele fala que você basicamente precisa ter 3 tipos de lente. Tem a telephoto lente, a lente telefoto, tem a mirror lente e a tree lens, que são aqueles, ele está repetindo aqui, a telephoto, a mirrorless e a 16mm wider, que é aberta, né? Então, para cada uma dessas lentes, você vai usar para um momento diferente. Então, se você vai usar para algo mais que você vai estar, por exemplo, revelando aqui, que é uma coisa muito grande das drum corps, que é a história de revelar o uniforme antes da primeira apresentação. Então, ele tem uma que é específica que pega todos os detalhes. Se você vai estar no show, você não pode estar de dentro do show, então você vai estar de longe. Então, você precisa, que é o que ele falou, a primeira, que é a telephoto lente, que ele falou que pode ser de 70 a 200, que a lente pode ser de 70 a 200, que é a que ele usa para captar coisas distantes, mas com boa qualidade. Então, assim, claro que esse material não é barato. Ele falou que a câmera, a Sony, custa na casa dos 2.000 e alguma coisa dólares. Então, assim, é uma questão de um material que você vai estar investindo, né? Mas aí, vai ser o último tópico que eu vou falar com ele, que é sobre a questão de, tipo assim, o quanto o trabalho de mídia pode influenciar numa corporação para a questão de, assim, de expandir o trabalho e fazer com que isso se traga mais fãs e consiga juntar mais pessoas voluntárias para fazer doação para o seu trabalho. Então, só colocando um comentário aqui. Ele está falando aqui que se vocês tiverem mais dúvidas, vocês podem ficar à vontade para mandar mensagem privada para ele, ou pelo Facebook ou Instagram, que ele vai responder. So my last question to you is just like, how you think that the media work can have influence in the band work, as have more donors, more fans. We know that during the drum corps season, like families are far apart. So I know the videos can like connect the families, the parents with the members. So how do you see that?
In terms of from the outside looking in, I think creative content in general, so this is not taking into account anything Flow does because they're more broadcast and live. So I'm talking strictly from social media. Having that social media presence once is the most important thing that creative content video does is recruiting. That's because, drum corps 16 to 21, 22. Parents want to see these videos because they're day-to-day videos. Parents want to see it. kids want to see it. It's the same thing as football. At football, the one big thing everyone wanted was their own highlight videos. Um, the difference between creative video and something like broadcast and live videos, creative is very individualized. Um, so it's not so much the group as a whole. You're picking out individuals in the group, and you can like pick one person in the group like every day. Like you have daily content, so that's the biggest difference. So to answer that question, I think the biggest thing that it helps with is recruiting. Every kid wants to be on social media for their group. So I think that's where the biggest impact comes from. In terms of sponsorships and stuff, we do sponsorship videos, but I think they do the best in terms of sponsorships when they sponsor themselves in the stadiums and stuff. It certainly does help though in terms of exposure. But if I had to pick one thing, it would be recruiting. So media is very important for that. If you want to build a strong group, you have to have a group that's willing to put themselves out on the social media world and do it well. So it's not only putting yourself out there, but leaving a good image and doing it every day, being consistent about it. So
Right. Então, ele falou que esse trabalho de mídia tem uma grande influência na questão de você fazer recrutamento de membros, de você, como os pais estão muito longe dos filhos, que eles são de estados diferentes, então toda vez que um vídeo desse vai ao vivo, vai numa das partes das mídias sociais, deixa os pais assim felizes de saber que eles estão vendo os filhos e a questão de também de melhorar a parte vamos dizer assim, a parte econômica, né? Tu vai ter influência econômica também no grupo, que você vai poder trazer mais patrocinadores, porque você está mostrando um trabalho de qualidade para a comunidade, né? Então, vamos lá para a última pergunta, antes da gente terminar. Let's go to our last question. A Flumash contrata os fotógrafos e câmeras da Drum Corps, mesmo para a parceria da sessão da imagem. He asked about if the Flumash hired photographers and videographers, the same one of the Drum Corps. So, in how that work about how that partnership works to have like things the same thing using both for the both companies like full marching and drum corps.
so when I had the flow marching job, it was for I believe it was for drumlines. So it was everything I shot for flow marching was pre-show. So I wasn't really stressing out because the pre-show doesn't really matter in terms of like what the cadets do. So I was able to separate the two, and that's how I was able to do both. I met Andy through JP, so that's basically how I got that partnership through Flow.
Mm-hmm. So it's like you record the outside show for full march.
Because Flow Marching has such a big team, the one thing they wanted me to do was like the drumline lots, not so much like the show stuff. So I was able to separate the two. So for me, it worked out well.
Então, o que ele falou foi que a Flow tem seu próprio time que trabalha na parte de jazz e que no caso dele, especificamente, eles falaram com ele, contrataram ele para filmar só a parte da drumline, que é a parte de percussão rudimentar, no campo no campo de aquecimento, né? Então era uma coisa que não influenciava a outra, né? Então geralmente as imagens são separadas. O que usa para drum corps é um, o que usa para full marching é outro. So I think it was a really good section. I would like to say thank you.
Yeah.
For your help. It's like I know how hard you work. I can tell because I was there like every day and see like you walking to the field to watch the rehearsals and going to the sometimes going to the show early before the members to find a good spot. And I know how stressful it can be during the shows because people don't want to give you like a full access to the field. And I know, but let you know that I really appreciate your work. And then I would like to say thank you for you and for helping everyone in Brazil and Colombia during this time, like share information, and it's really appreciated.
I appreciate you guys having me. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to private message me, and I'll answer in further detail if they have that. So.
Alright. Então ele falou assim que ele agradece pelo convite, que ficou muito feliz por isso. E se alguém tiver mais uma vez, se alguém tiver mais alguma dúvida sobre qualquer questão, pode mandar privado para ele a mensagem que ele vai ficar feliz em ajudar. So Jake, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Então, gente, é por isso. Hoje a gente vai terminando por aqui. Queria agradecer a todos que estiveram juntos conosco, aos nossos parceiros dos Estados Unidos, Colômbia e Brasil, ao time do MXP, o João, o Bruno e o Kleber, e aos nossos patrocinadores e colaboradores, a Liga Brasileira de Bandas e Fanfarras, a Aula Virtual Música da Espanha, a FON Studio, Brasil Bandas, Portal Brasil Sonoro, Toque 2, Unibandas TV, canal Banda Show e Thiago Bloom Music. Então a gente fica por aqui. Então a gente se encontra na próxima semana. Tenham todos um bom final de semana. Mantenham aí a sua saúde mental e física e continuem estudando. E semana que vem tem mais conteúdo por aí. Tá? Um abraço, um bom final de semana. Thank you, Jake. See you.
Bye. See you later. Thank you.